I want to go across live at this time to Sitara Jabil. She works with the Near and Middle East Department of the International Committee of the Red Cross. It is the Red Cross that has been helping the Indian government secure the safety and release of the Indian hostages who are stuck in Iraq. Thank you very much, Ms. Jabil, for joining us in Headlines today. Can you explain to our viewers who are very concerned about the fate of the 40 abducted Indians, what is their current condition? Has the Iraq Red Crescent and the International Committee of the Red Cross been able to get through to them? How are they doing at this time, ma'am?
Yes. So today we have around 46 Indian nurses who were working in Tikrit hospital, and they are still there. And because of the situation, they are still stuck there. And then there is another issue of the Indian workers that are reportedly abducted in Mosul. Now we are dealing with both of these issues, but I would first explain about the nurses. All of these Indian nurses, our colleagues have visited them. The Iraqi Red Crescent is also in contact with them. And I would like to say that they are all safe, and they are, and this is our first priority, that we ensure that they remain safe where they are now. And in the meantime, we are continuing our dialogue with all those who are concerned with this process to explore the options for their safe repatriation, because of course they want to get out and they want to go back, but it's difficult to say at this stage how much time it can take or not. But what I can ensure is that they are in contact with the Indian ambassador in Baghdad as well. And we are also in regular contact with them. And our colleagues have provided them, for example, phone credit for them to be able to contact their families.
Ma'am, what about the Indians who've been abducted? What is their condition? Has the Red Cross been able to establish contact with them? Do we know their location? And what about trying to secure their release, ma'am?
Yes, when it comes to the Indian workers, we are aware of the reports, media reports, that the Indian workers are abducted in Mosul. But at this stage, we do not have any contact with them because we are not present in Mosul today due to the situation, and we are not aware of their whereabouts. And but at the same time, we are making efforts. We are trying our best to inquire from all parties to the conflict of their whereabouts and where they could be. But so far, unfortunately we do not have any news about them. And but
you're essentially telling our viewers, Ms. Jabin, that the Red Cross hasn't been able to get through to the 40 abducted Indians. You're saying that the nurses are safe, you're in touch with them, you're helping them recharge their phones, but you're not in touch at all with the 40 abducted Indians?
Yes, unfortunately we have not been able to make any contact with these abducted Indians because of the situation on the ground. I mean, our teams have not been able to enter Mosul, and it's only possible once we are able to go there and once we are in contact with everyone who has an influence in this situation. So for the time being, we are not there yet. But what I can say is that we are in the process. I mean, we are trying our best that whoever is detained anywhere, civilians particularly, they have to be taken care of, and they have to, I mean, we are calling for their safety everywhere. But as you can imagine, the situation that it is in Iraq today, and particularly in Mosul, it's as long as we are not there and as long as we are not in contact with the people there, it would be very difficult for us to say anything about this issue.
Okay, I'm going to leave it over there, Sitara Jabin, for joining us on the program this evening. Thank you very much. You're suggesting that the nurses are safe. People from the Red Cross are in touch with them. They're also in touch with the Indian embassy. However, no contact has been established with the abducted Indians as far as the Red Cross is concerned. It's Iraq's free fall into chaos. A bloody, fierce battle rages across the landscape, and it is being led by an enemy that the world now recognizes as being more dangerous than the dreaded Al-Qaeda. The ISIS is a merciless Sunni militia with a goal to redraw Middle East borders to create a state ruled by an extremist interpretation of Islamic law. Their march, for now, seems unstoppable.
Multi-pronged assault across central and north Iraq. Attack on Iraq's largest oil refinery. Unleashing savage brutality. This is the face of ISIS, Iraq's jihadi organization, which in the last week has become the most powerful and effective terror group in the world, more powerful even than the Al-Qaeda. Its ambition has been gradually unfolding over the past year, but in the last week it has taken shape with lightning speed, with the territory under its control stretching from east of the Syrian city of Aleppo across northern Iraq. With an organized military structure, the group's clear political strategy is to set up a Sunni sectarian state. And with that aim, it has been spreading its reign of terror. The ISIS tactic is to make a surprise attack, inflict maximum casualties, and spread fear before withdrawing without suffering heavy losses. The organization specializes in using untrained foreign volunteers as suicide bombers. ISIS claims to have carried out 10,000 operations in Iraq last year alone. These included assassinations, bombings, and the freeing of prisoners.
This is the unofficial affiliation of Al-Qaeda. It subscribes to Al-Qaeda's central ideology and tactics. Is one of the most extremist militant organizations in the jihadist family.
Last week, ISIS released these horrifying pictures of execution of captured Iraqi troops. Their message to their enemies: expect no mercy. Their leader, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, has become the most dangerous man in the world after Osama bin Laden, with a $10 million bounty on his head. With military sophistication that is much greater than Al-Qaeda, the ISIS plans to capture Baghdad. Given the ferocity with which it pursues its ambitions, stopping them would be a daunting task. Bureau Report, Headlines Today.
Joining us in Headlines Today at this time is R.S. Kala, former Indian ambassador to Iraq. Also with us, Saeed Naqvi, one of India's most widely travelled journalists and an expert in Middle East affairs. With us also at this time, Sonia. She's a nurse. She wants to go back to Iraq, she says. She's joining us from Kottayam. Parvinder Singh is the brother of a hostage, Kamaljeet Singh. He's joining us from Hoshiarpur in Punjab. I want to go across to Parvinder first. परविंदर जी, ये बताइए कि आपकी क्या आपके भाई कमलजीत सिंह से बिल्कुल भी बातचीत हो पाई है? क्या वो आपको बता पाए हैं कि वो किस तरह की कंडीशन में हैं, और क्या मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ एक्सटर्नल अफेयर्स जो मेहनत इस वक्त कर रही है, जो काम कर रही है, उससे आप संतुष्ट हैं?
देखिए सर, मेरी 17 तारीख को रात 2 बजे बात हुई थी उन लोगों से, और कमलजीत से बात हुई थी। तो सर उन लोगों ने यही बोला कि हम लोग अभी मुश्किल में है, ये लोग हमसे मोबाइल और लैपटॉप और सब कुछ छीन रहे हैं। तो उन लोगों के सर धक्का कर रहे थे। और एक अभी सर इन्होंने जी न्यूज़ पर एक वीडियो टेलीकास्ट की है सर, उनमें से जो बोला जा रहा है 42 आदमी में उनमें से एक भी आदमी हमारा कंपनी का नहीं है।
Sonia, you're suggesting that you want to go back to Iraq. Given how bad things are, why in the world would you want to go back into this war zone?
Yes, sir. I want to go back to Iraq. I am came for 28 days leave. I am working in Nasriya, Al Hussein Hospital. In Nasriya, since till now, no problems was there. So I want to go back to Iraq. Then also I have so many financial problems because I took education loans from bank for my studies, and also I borrowed money from my friends and relatives to give the agency for getting this job. So I want to pay back these monies and solve my financial problems. So
but is it not too dangerous? You're suggesting that you have financial problems, but given the images that are coming on the screen, given the sort of warfare that is taking place, given the barbarism of the ISIS, is it even worth your while to want to go back at this time, Sonia?
Because in Nasriya, I think so no problems was there. So I will be go through Basra airport. So I think I can go. I can go back.
Okay, Mr. Kala, there are two problems. Safely. One, you've got the Indians who are stranded. We don't know yet whether the government actually plans to evacuate them. No such plans have been announced, even though Indian Air Force choppers are on standby. But more importantly, the 40 Indians who've been abducted, we've established contact with them, they're supposed to be safe, but we haven't been able to extricate them so far. How concerned are you about their condition and about the designs of the ISIS when it comes to these abducted Indians?
Well, you see, what we should do is that we should get in touch with other countries also who have similar problems. For example, the Chinese have got about 1,000 people who are stuck in Samara. So we should contact them, and hopefully if we can establish a kind of a joint initiative, that would be very much to our advantage. Secondly, we should get in touch with countries such as Saudi Arabia, Qatar and Kuwait, because these countries have influence with the Sunni-led jihadists, because they are in touch with them. Thirdly, what we must do is that we should be very careful as far as statements are concerned, because this is not a sort of an issue between a government and a terrorist organization. In my view, this is sectarian warfare, Sunni jihadis. But don't forget, there is no dearth of atrocities which are being committed by the Shiites too. If you recall, in a police station recently which was under the Baghdad government, 44 Sunni prisoners were simply taken out and shot. So therefore this kind of a situation is prevalent in Iraq today, and we should also be careful in the kind of sort of steps that we take, because any misstep that is taken can be
misstep could indeed be very dangerous, especially for the abducted Indian side. Naqvi, the fact that no ransom calls has so far been made, is that of concern to you? Because usually if people have been abducted, it is for ransom. We are being told, and the government has confirmed, that these 40 Indians have been kidnapped, but the ISIS has so far made no demands. What do you think is going on, drawing on all the experience that you have of covering warfare in this region, sir?
Rahul, here's a classical case where we actually do not know what is going on there. We have no idea what has happened. Therefore, but certain broad trends are available to us, like ISIS, when it moved into Mosul, it received no resistance. In other words, there was collaboration in Mosul for ISIS. Therefore, everybody in this particular battle is not ISIS, but various people are taking refuge behind these atrocities to settle their own scores with the regime in Baghdad. Now, these people, the Indians who are involved at this stage, are obviously secure. Now, they are not being let out. This is some information I've had from sources. The reason why they are not being let out is because beyond the periphery where they are confined, the law and order is unpredictable. Therefore, and the sad thing is that we really do not know what is going on as in the region. But from Indians, I'm an optimist under all conditions, and I believe, my suspicion, my intuition tells me that the Indians at this point in time are safe. There was a difference of opinion between the groups. Some people said, look, you can escape, let's go away. The others said, no, we want our salaries. And some people in fact want to go back. So this is a confused situation.
No, but it's very, very dangerous to go back at all. In fact, one gentleman, Mr. Kala, managed to escape. Now, what would be the right thing for these people to do? Because if they try and escape, they could actually run away and come into the battle zone. They are safer probably with the ISIS, especially if they are in the backward areas as opposed to being on the front lines. What does India do to try and extricate these people, especially when there is no one person in authority who Sushma Swaraj and others in the Ministry of External Affairs could be speaking to? How do we get them out?
Basically, what they should do is they should stay put, because to try to venture out is a dangerous place, because you know, law and order is a problematical situation there. And secondly, I think you are much safer in a group than to try and escape individually. And as I mentioned to you earlier, Of course, there are what they call methods by which contacts can be made, and I think we should seek the good offices of the Saudis or the Qataris and the Kuwaitis, because they do have contacts with these groups, and it may be possible to establish contacts, and it may also be possible to find out a way by which we can safely take our people out from there. I think we should take the initiative. There's no point in waiting for a situation to develop. We must take the initiative and at least send somebody from Delhi to talk to the Kuwaitis and talk to the Qataris, talk to the Saudis, and you will get a
Saeed Naqvi, should the Indian government be planning aerial evacuation of the Indians who are stranded in Baghdad and in other parts, from where an aerial evacuation is still possible?
Well, you can do it in the Shiite-led areas, because that is where the Baghdad government's writ runs, and they will probably allow you to land your plane in that
Saeed
region.
Naqvi, but it hasn't been done so far. Is that something you'd like to see the Narendra Modi government do? Actually engage the Air Force for a massive aerial airlift of those Indians who are stuck in Iraq and want to get out?
I don't think that is required at the moment, because in the Shiite areas there is relatively fairly a peaceful situation, and you know, one of your nurses was just mentioning that she would like to go back to Nasiriyah. Now Nasiriyah is south of Baghdad. It's a peaceful area as far as the Shiite area is concerned. So therefore I think it will be highly premature to think in terms of sending the Air Force or sending an Air India plane to pick up the Indians.
Mr. Naqvi, do you hear me?
In my experience, when
Saeed Naqvi, do you hear me?
Sorry?
Mr. Naqvi, do you hear me, sir?
Yes, now I can hear you, yes.
My question is,
yes.
Does India take a side? Clearly, the ISIS is much more than just a disorganized militia. They're moving with a lot of precision. They seem to have a lot of local backing, and their avowed aim is to establish an Islamic emirate, stretching way beyond just
Rahul,
Iraq and Syria. Does India take a side in the Shia-Sunni battle, given our domestic compulsions and our own internal problems, or does India just stay away and try and rescue just the Indians and deal with it just in that fashion?
Rahul, I think we will be jumping many guns if we come to those conclusions. We basically don't have any data. But I'll give you an example. Abdul Qadir Jilani is a shrine, like Nizamuddin Auliya in Delhi. There is a shrine in Baghdad. Guru Nanak went there. And from this shrine, there is a Naqshbandiya school. Izzat Ibrahim, the number 2 to Saddam Hussein, has launched his own Sunni group. He calls it the Rizal al-Naqshbandiya. Now, they have also taken recourse to this ISI movement, because they simply want to settle scores with the Shia regime in Baghdad. So it would be premature for us to concede total victory to ISIS. No, various people are getting together with them to settle all sorts of scores within internally in that country. You must remember that when Saddam Hussein fell, there was a huge status reversal for the Sunnis in that country. Now much of that is being played out. The story of the Indians in Mosul is that Mosul is nearer the Kurdish part, where they were absolutely safe. We do not have the data. My suspicion and my intuition and my knowledge of that area tells me that they are, wherever they are secure. No one has any interest in killing them or bringing them to any harm. I don't see what interest anyone might have. Yes, it is a dangerous situation, and as I told you earlier, that when the ISIS moved into Mosul, there was almost a reception. There was a fellow called Atil Najayev. He is the mayor of Mosul. Now he obviously has taken vast sums of money. These vast sums of money, why? Because he wants to be against the regime. He wants to settle scores with the regime in Baghdad, and he's taken advantage of this ISIS.
Well, it's a very, very delicate situation at this time, and you're suggesting that the Indian government shouldn't be jumping in and taking sides.
No,
allow the situation to unravel.
All of us,
see what is best.
All of us should not add to any panic.
Okay, don't add to the panic. You're suggesting that the Indians are safe. That's what the Red Cross also seems to suggest. But as the Ministry of External Affairs spokesperson said, no one is really safe in captivity. Our thoughts and prayers are the families of those whose relatives are currently missing or still stranded in Iraq. The Minister of External Affairs promises she's hard on the job and trying her best. We wait to see what unravels. To all my guests for joining me on the first part of To The Point tonight, thank you very much.